Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another week of DIYs. I quickly wanted to say thank you to everyone who left literally the nicest comments on last week's video. You guys love the makeover, and just hearing positive feedback and reading how it inspires you to create something literally is just the best feeling ever. I just really appreciate it, and you guys are seriously the best, so thank you so much. As you can tell by today's title, we are working on some IKEA hacks. I've had these ideas in my head for a while and I really just want to bring them to life. These are gonna look way more expensive than your basic IKEA piece, and I think that you could take a lot of the techniques that I'm using in today's video and apply them into other projects. Some of these things I'm trying for the first time, so I'm sure I'm going to make some mistakes, and hopefully you guys can learn from them and use these methods to create something beautiful from literally anything. Let's jump into the first project. This is gonna be so much fun. This is a new item at IKEA. I actually found it in their kitchen department, and I guess it's like a little jar for spices and seasonings or whatever you want in it. It's actually not as large as I thought it was going to be because it's only about this big, and then you have a giant lid for it. And I think the shape of this is just so unique. It kind of reminds me of like a macaron on top or something. So when I saw this, it just reminded me of these really expensive candles from this brand called Fornasetti. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but those candles go for hundreds of dollars and they have such beautiful designs on them. And even right now, Anthropologie sells a really gorgeous candle with a lid on it too. So it just inspired me to take this piece from IKEA and create my own very special candle. I wanted to make it extra fancy, so we're actually going to try adding some 3D details with clay. I'm using polymer clay, which is actually something I haven't used in a long time and I've missed working with it. So now is the perfect opportunity. And I also got a bunch of silicone molds. So these are actually for baking with fondant. I wanted this to have like an enchanted forest magical vibe. So I got a plant one, some little butterflies, and then also some mushrooms. I've actually never have used clay with molds before, so this is gonna be my first time. I'm a little bit nervous, but let's see how it goes. The worst thing whenever you're working with new clay is to condition it, so I'm gonna have to roll this out, mend it, and mold it, and try to make it as malleable as possible. I need to protect my beautiful desk. A question I get asked a lot is how I come up with ideas for projects, and a lot of the time it is just allowing myself to play and figure it out. Whether it's working on a mood board or mocking it up in Canva or Procreate, or what I'm doing right now, I just go in with a general idea of what I want to do. Guys, it's been so long since I've worked with polymer clay that I need a refresher, and I'm watching my old video that I made, how long ago? 2-3 years ago now, and it's still very helpful to me. I was so proper back then. And sometimes I don't even have a full draft, especially with a piece like this where it's round and has multiple sides. I like to physically hold it in my hands to figure it out as I go along. This process feels a lot more organic to me, and sometimes it turns out even better because the idea evolves as you spend more time with it. And I definitely feel like that's what happened in this project because I came in it with one idea and then it just kept going and going because I was just having so much fun with it. Time to try out the mold. I'm gonna start with a really small one, and then I will pop it probably into the smallest butterfly just to test it. I'm scared, guys. You wanna make sure that you're really pressing it in there so that it gets into all of the little nooks and crannies, because this has a lot of detail in it. Please don't let there be any air bubbles. I feel like a cat making biscuits. Then I'm gonna take my blade and basically cut all of the excess. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be harder than I thought. How do bakers do this? Okay, time to pop it out. Oh my gosh. It actually came out so good, you guys. Ah, it's so cute. Our first little butterfly. I'm gonna make a bunch more of these, and one trick that I have for you guys is actually after you put it in the mold, let it cool down for a little bit. That way it hardens up a little bit more, because right now it is pretty fragile because I kind of just took it out as soon as I put it in. So I'm gonna let this sit over here, and then when it hardens up, it's gonna be a lot easier to handle once we put it onto the jar. are literally the cutest little things I've ever made. I 10 out of 10 would recommend this if you guys love polymer clay and you haven't tried molds out. These just came out so good. And now I'm gonna play around with my jar and the placement of them. I think the best plan of attack is to actually bake it while they're on here. Since this is round, I want to make sure that the shape is rounded and will sit flat against the surface. But I thought it'd be really cool for the lid to do one where the butterfly actually has its wings up. So when I actually go to bake it, I'm going to add little pieces of foil underneath so that it lifts it up a little bit. And then when it sits on here, it'll be like 3D. Can you see that? That's gonna look so good. I'm so excited for this, you guys. I am in love with this and we haven't even painted it yet, but this just came out so good. The clay is actually staying on here, which I'm kind of surprised by, but I only put it on here so that it would shape to the curve of the actual container. But now I'm gonna take them off because that'll make it a little bit easier to actually handle. And it comes right off pretty easily. I have to show you guys the best part because this 3D butterfly came out so good, and this is kind of what I was imagining. How freaking precious is that? Oh no, oh my god. Ah! Okay, we're good. Let's be a little bit more careful. So as you can see, I ended up not using the leaves just because it was too busy, and instead of doing an enchanted forest vibe like I planned, I went for a more glowy magical midnight look. I'm doing a gradient black to blue background, and I'm also using a multi-surface paint for this, which means you can bake it again for extra durability. I started with a couple of different greens until I landed on this beautiful jade color, and once we pair it with some brass paint, it is totally going to transform it. It almost makes them look like little stones, which is just a huge chef's kiss for me. And like I said earlier, I went in this with kind of a plan, but once I started adding more and more detail to this piece, I was just falling in love with the process and how it was coming together. I'm someone who loves miniature things, and there's just something about making teeny tiny detailed pieces like this that just brings me so much joy to create. For the actual candle part, I used an IKEA killer candle that I thought was fully colored, but spoiler alert, it wasn't, so it ended up just looking like regular white wax. I wanted to try using my candle warmer to heat this up, and it totally worked instead of using the stovetop. I can't believe how beautiful this turned out because this once plain jar is now a piece of art that I'm going to cherish for years to come. This next project is actually so perfect to display my new Book of the Month books, who is today's video sponsor. This year my goal is actually to read 15 books, and so far I am on track with that. Reading is just one of my favorite things to do, especially after a long day of DIYing. I will usually make myself a big cup of tea, turn on some jazz, or sometimes I'll even run a bath, and it's just like the best way to unwind. This month I chose Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh, who is a big thriller writer. This book already has so many good reviews, and after I read the synopsis, I knew that it was gonna have a really good twist, so of course I had to choose it. And for my romance lovers, I got Happily Never After by Lynn Painter, who is an author that's been on my TBR for a while, so this is basically pushing me to read books by her. And that's what I really love about Book of the Month, because they're curating the best reads for you and you get to discover so many amazing new books. So how it works is every month you choose from their top selections, and you literally cannot go wrong because they have an entire team that reads through the books. They basically vet them and choose the best ones for the month. And I really appreciate that because it saves you time and it helps you decide on your next read because you know that you are going to have a good time reading it. And they also just launched curated audiobooks, so you can choose between the two and listen right within the app. If you want to check them out, you can get your first book of the month for only $9.99 with the code CHIRP. This is honestly such a good deal because you're getting a beautiful hardcover book. And when you're done, you can take the jacket off and get a really pretty piece of decor. Look at how pretty these are, and we are gonna move on to the project so we can display our new books. Okay, so this is what I picked up for the next project. It is advertised as a cutting board. I love that it's footed because you can use it as a display, and even in the picture you can see here that they kind of use it with a little container underneath, which is honestly genius. So you can use it as a tray or even as a laptop stand. And if you flip it upside down, you can actually use this as a stand to display different items like books, for example. So this is kind of my vision for it, but obviously we are going to make it look a lot nicer because right now it's just made with bamboo, and I think we can make it look a little bit prettier. Okay, I'm loving the new shape on it. Now I'm just gonna go in with some joint compound to make it look like stone rather than that bamboo look that it has going on right now. I think this is my first time using joint compound on wood, so my only concern is that it might crack while it's drying, but if we do a thin enough layer, that shouldn't happen. And after that, you can paint it however you want, so you can do a pattern or a fun design on it. I want this to look a little bit more sleek and minimal, so I'm probably gonna do a light color and then do some speckling on top so that it really looks like a ceramic piece. Hope this works. I am so impressed that there is actually no cracking on this, and I'm so glad this only took one coat, and sanding this down actually has been super easy. Coffee table today. So I went onto IKEA's site and I found this coffee table, which is probably one of their cheapest coffee tables. This is what it looks like, and for $80, I feel like that is such a great price, especially since you're getting a lot of storage, and it looks a lot better than the lac tables that they have, which are very, very cheap. This one definitely looks a lot nicer, and I just wanted to challenge myself to create something that looks like a designer piece. Stabbed my table. Here we go. I think that we should prime it first. This comes in two colors, and I got it in the white since it's the perfect base to work with. And if you wanted to get this coffee table, it also comes in a beautiful navy blue color. Ooh. Ooh, and this top actually looks pretty nice. Okay, I know this is all veneer, but it's pretty convincing. I love the wood tone of this, so I'm going to keep the wood top as is. Wood always just looks so nice and expensive, so we are not gonna touch this at all. This step is a must, especially when you're working with IKEA furniture, because it's usually laminate and you need to use a shellac-based primer. This is the best I've used because it's super sticky and preps your surface for paint, making it more durable. Can you guys guess what color we're gonna paint it? If you've been watching for a while, then you know that I love wood paired with black paint. So we're gonna cover this whole entire thing with black. Is this predictable? Yes. But will it also look amazing and beautiful and more expensive? Also yes. Black always just looks so much more expensive than white furniture for some reason, and it's kind of funny how a couple of years ago everyone was painting everything white, and now we are definitely seeing a big shift from that. I'm going for a West Elm type of look for this design. It feels very Bauhaus and also gives off a more mid-century vibe to an otherwise pretty basic and traditional piece. So I just did a second coat on all the pieces except for these two side pieces because I actually want to add a design to them first. I thought it'd be really cool to do some type of pattern design on this, so I grabbed these wooden circles, which were actually only $5 for 6 of them. And my plan is to cut these down and then add them to the front. And I also got these guys. So this is actually a sign stand, but I was thinking I could just take them off and use them as art shapes. You can honestly do so much with these, so I'm gonna play around with the layout and see what I can come up with. These semicircles were so easy to make, and I can imagine using them on some dresser fronts or for a side table. You could do so much by taking a basic shape like this and combining it together and playing around to create an eye-catching design. And I love, as someone who likes to mix up their design styles a lot, that this is such a timeless piece that you can easily fit it into almost any home style. You guys, these panels look so good. I think they look a lot more expensive and honestly didn't even take that much work to do because these already were pre-cut. Now I have to assemble everything together, and the original piece actually came with these little plastic legs, which I don't understand why they come with plastic legs instead of the same material that the whole body is made with. These definitely look a lot more cheap, and also the profile on them is a little bit more traditional, so I want to do something that's a little bit unexpected. I've really been loving bun feet on furniture, which is basically like those little round sofa legs. This is a great way to change up a piece and also add a little bit more roundness and kind of tie back in with the arches. Alright guys, those were today's projects. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. I honestly can't really choose because I love them all so much. Each one has its own unique style, and I love that they're not purely decorative. Each one has its own function. Although if I were to choose, I think that my favorite probably is my candle because it's totally one of a kind and it really is so special to me. I probably will keep it forever, and each time I burn down the wax, I will just keep refilling it because I love it so much. I hope this video gave you some ideas on how to hack some IKEA pieces, or maybe even pieces you already have at home. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up below and subscribe for new videos every single week. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay inspired, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!